We'll start with the broadcast section with no embargo, followed by an embargoed section for 10:30 p.m. tonight. No live tweeting during the broadcast section, please, and use the microphone provided. Jeremy.
Hi, Ange. Nice to see you. You ruled out Ben Davies for this match. The other injured players, any of them available or still missing?
No, it'll be the same as the weekend in terms of squad-wise. Everyone got through the weekend well, no issues from it. We could obviously protect a few guys in that. Pedro and Matters didn't start, so everyone's good. With the injured guys, nothing's really changed. They're still progressing, training sort of on and off with us, and hopefully over the next 7-10 days, reintroduction.
Pep's just said that Haaland may play. He's not sure yet. If he does play, will Gray and Danso take care of him, do you think?
Oh, it's a great challenge for them. Delap was a handful last game, and Erling's, he's the premier striker still, I think, in world football when he's up and running. So, great challenge, but obviously, whether he plays or not, it'll still be a great test for all our group.
You're going in 3 straight Premier League wins. You've beaten City twice this season, and memories, of course, of the 4-0 thrashing at the Etihad. How confident are you about this one?
Yeah, look, how confident. You're always looking forward to the challenge. Man City are an outstanding football club, great manager, still got great footballers, and still play really, challenging football to any opponent. So, but we've enjoyed the games against them, whether that was this year or even last year. You're going to get a good football game. They're going to try and win. They're going to play expansive. We're going to try and do the same, and it's going to be a good test for us.
Just finally, we hear you're talking to Rodrigo about a new contract. Benson Kerr's got, I think, to the end of next season. How good has he been, and how confident are you that he'll extend?
Yeah, Rodri's been great. In terms of his contract situation, again, that's handled by other people, and obviously we're, a lot of our kind of strategising is not just short term; it's about the longer term. Rodri, I think, especially sort of this latter period is really sort of getting back, I think, to the levels he wants to be. He obviously was coming off a long-term injury last year, and then came back, looked really good, then got another injury, and it's really disruptive. And then even this year, he got a bit off to a false start with obviously his long suspension. So, but you can see that he just needs regular game time, and he's getting up to speed. And really good guy as well around the group. He's experienced now, and from our perspective, in this run-in, he's going to be really important.
Alex. After the 3 league wins in a row, has there been a significant change in mood around here? Have the players been lifted by those results?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's dismissing that we lost 2 cup games in there as well, so it hasn't been exactly 3 in a row. So we understand that there was a disappointment in there, but look, I think the last couple of games in particular has certainly given us encouragement in terms of just being able to re-energise the group, whether that's the guys who worked really hard through that period where obviously we were really challenged, or the guys coming back in. There's just a real good energy around it, because I think the guys who kind of missed out all that, they've been really keen to contribute, and they're seeing the enthusiasm that Vicario and Brennan on the weekend, Mattis coming back in, Destiny, these guys have brought. It's helped the rest of the group. So I think we've benefited from that, the 2 weeks we've had of no midweek games. So all those things, and obviously then you get 2 wins, which makes people feel good, and it's something for us to build on.
With those players returning, with those wins, is there an element of frustration as well, sort of what could have been had you had those players?
Yeah, look, I mean, yeah, potentially, because I've always said that, I still feel like we're on the right path, and yet every other indicator you look at, when you're looking at a sort of sporting club in terms of results, doesn't really show that. But I've always felt that we're building a really good group of players who have a lot of growth and potentially could really make an impact, but we just haven't been able to do that. But having said that, there's still plenty for us to play for this year, and still an opportunity for us to make a real impact.
They do say things come in threes. Just how big an achievement would it be to beat Pep's Manchester City side 3 times in the same season?
Yeah, some things come in 33s. I just felt like, look, like I said, it's always a challenge when you play City. They challenge you in ways other clubs don't in terms of their football. And I know that they're obviously, for them, they're going through a rough trot. But their football is still a real challenge to play against. But it's a great challenge. It's what you want. You want to measure yourself. Because like I said, they're going to come here and try and play and be dominant on the ball. We want to be dominant. And against Man City, you can't be. It's impossible to be sort of dominant in all facets of the game. They're going to have times in the game where they take control, and it's how we cope with that, how we deal with that. We've done that not too bad in the games we've played against them. And for us tomorrow, that's going to be the challenging bit. I think, when we have our moments, we've got to show the quality. I mean, I know we beat them, the scoreline sounds like it was convincing at their place, but it was the quality of our finishing that was the difference. We didn't create a lot of chances, but the quality of our goals was high up, and you have to against them. So, love coming up against Pep's teams, and looking forward to it.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thanks, Al.
George, behind you, please.
Angelo, since Guardiola's been in England, Tottenham have just sort of been a real bogey team. It's Liverpool and Spurs. These records are not great against. And I just wondered, what is it about you could potentially beat the Premier League champions 3 times in one season that this Tottenham team seem to thrive on playing Man City?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's... I don't know how much you can read into that kind of stuff because, over the course of that time, I guess he's faced different types of sort of Tottenham teams and different managers. So sometimes it's just circumstance. But I know from our perspective, for the most part, against kind of the teams that are challenging, we've done well in the 2 years I've been here. I mean, there's been a couple of games we got blown away. For the most part, our struggles have been against teams that aren't doing as well in the league rather than the teams that are doing well. And I think part of that is because we're playing against teams who are also trying to sort of dominate the game, and that allows us to play our football. So, but at the same time, you can't be dismissive of the quality they have. And like I said, it looks like they're going through a really rough trot at the moment, but that's because of the unbelievable standards they've set over the last, well, since Pep's been there, to be honest, in terms, not just results, in terms of the football they play.
What have you made of them this season? Because they've had injuries, probably not as bad as you, but I was just wondering, what have you made of, probably some people say they drop off or decline this season. What have you made of it as another manager? Yeah,
look, I think it's just the way of elite sport, and it just sheds light on how extraordinary they have been. They should, the fact that they did win 4 in a row and the consistency of that 4 in a row, of just the sheer numbers they accumulated in terms of points, in terms of goals, in terms of wins. It's just, competing in all. It's just an unbelievable and probably unprecedented standard that they set. And it's only natural that that's never going to continue forever. I mean, that's just not sustainable. But you know what, if they bounce back next year and win it, which I don't think anyone in this room could discount that that's possible, and you say they've won 5 out of 6, you'd be going, they're still pretty good. So more than pretty good. So, it's sometimes these things happen, I think injuries, key injuries and some things that go on against them sometimes just brings you back to the field, and that's elite sport. It's just fine margins.
I know you touched on him briefly in Friday's presser last week, but I just wanted to ask you again about Jed Spence. I mean, how he's just sort of broken into the team, and he's taken advantage of probably other players' injuries, not in a bad way, but he's just taken his opportunity, and I just wondered what you've made of him really this season.
Yeah, as I said last week, he's been outstanding. He continues to be outstanding. The challenge for Jed is to keep going, not to be satisfied with what he's got now, and with the same hunger and attitude that he's taken his opportunity. As you said, that's all you can sort of provide is an opportunity. He needs now to make sure that he doesn't look back from that and keeps pushing on, because you know, he's got still so much, I think, growth in him and potential. You know, he hasn't really been settled in his career apart from sort of, you know, maybe the year he was at Forest where he kind of really had some great form, but since then it's been stop-start for him. Or he's just got to ensure now that he's up and running, he keeps going.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate.
Pass down to Ali, please.
The world's slowest relay, seriously.
I just want to ask you about Timo Werner. Is he available at the moment, just hasn't been getting in what's a stronger matchday squad, or is he not quite there yet?
No, he was only really available for the weekend, but because of the matchday squad and the kind of makeup of the squad, I left him out. Obviously, with Ben going out, we put Reggie on as an extra defender on the bench, but it was only Sunday's game he was actually available, but he's trained and he's available for tomorrow.
And on that, I just want to ask you, at the weekend you said it was kind of managing his minutes.
Yeah.
Has something else happened, or is this...
No, it's still the same. He's been carrying a little bit of a knock for a little while, and he's, to be fair to him, he's played through it. But I've said before that I think this is a real key period for us. I want as many players in the best possible condition for what's coming up. And, you know, after this game, again, we've got a good 7-day break leading into then Europe League, which is, those 4 games are going to be massive for us. And I don't see the need to push people at this stage when we've got others that, like I said, probably need the game time, like, you know, Destiny and Brennan Wilson, these guys who are coming back. So so he hasn't re-injured or anything, but it's just, like I said, he's been carrying something that I just don't want to sort of push at the moment.
And Dan Scarlett, I just want to ask you about him. Looked like that assist at the weekend meant a lot to him, but obviously at a ground where he didn't have to, it was a tough line.
Yeah.
I think he's 3 games, he's got 1 goal, 2 assists. What have you seen his development since he's come back?
Yeah, look, he's working hard, Dane. Like you said, he's had a couple of difficult loans, and that's part of the process as well for him. You know, we were just talking about Jed, who had 3 difficult loans. So, you know, some of it is just perseverance and keep working hard and waiting for your opportunity. And, you know, he has done well for us. You know, I said when he came back, he wasn't in the greatest physical condition, and he's working hard on that. And hopefully he gets more opportunities. As an aside, I've got to say, the assist is the most useless statistic in world football. Seriously, it could come off your backside, fall to somebody on the halfway line, he scores, and it's an assist. So it doesn't impress me. But Dane's assist on the weekend was a good one. There you go.
Okay, we'll end the broadcast section there and move on to the Embargoed section for 10:30 p.m. tonight. Dave.
Training since the Villa game.
Yeah.
Finally, you've had some room. I know you gave the guys some days off and stuff in the first week, but first of all, how frustrating was it for you when the injuries were there, the matches were thick and fast, that you couldn't actually train properly, let's say, and have you now been able to up the intensity? Can you just give us any detail about how it's been? Yeah,
look, it's made an enormous difference to us, and it was part of the frustration, because obviously when you know, in the midst of doing what we were going through, that period of so many games, and obviously with a small squad, because of our injury situation, we couldn't really train. So you want to rectify things, and the best place to rectify things is on the training track, and we just couldn't do it. You kind of tried to replicate it, but at a really low tempo, which wasn't realistic. Whereas, you know, I think we saw the benefits of that. Like I said, at the Ipswich game, I think that's as fluent as we've been, sort of middle to front third in terms of our football, and it's because we did so much work leading up to it during the week. The players were able to train, and it's not just the training, but then they're also, because we've got players back now, we're not training with the young players from our academy. We're actually training, you know, as a squad, which again means the level's really good. So, like I said, just being able to work on patterns, work on some of our sort of attacking third stuff, our mid to front third stuff, which I think we've struggled with. A lot of that's because of personnel, lack of personnel, but you could already see the benefit of that on the weekend. And again, you know, this is, I guess, after Wednesday we get another week to work on those things. And I know the coaches have loved it because, you know, like I said, that's where we can help the players. But I think the players have appreciated just being able to work on our game.
So would you say that the intensity in these last sessions has been back at the top level, would you say?
Yeah, not just intensity, but I think the kind of work, you know, the kind of match work we've been able to do that we've had to sort of steer away from because we had to protect the players.
Which can kind kind of small-sided game?
Oh, just our normal sort of attacking patterns that we work on. You try and simulate match conditions so players can find solutions in those areas. You can't do that when you're trying to protect them from a physical load, and also the quality of players we had. So now, like I said, we can work on our patterns, whether that's in attacking sense or defensive sense, in kind of match-like situations at a match tempo, obviously not for the duration, but which again gives players the opportunity to practice some of the things we talk about.
No.
Have you been tempted to do more? Has it been? Have you sort of had to rein yourself in a little bit?
Yeah. I would love to do some double sessions, but again, I think we've got to be sensible about it, because it has been a balancing of also some rejuvenation for the group that's been through it. So it's kind of, there's two separate groups. There's the groups who are back and really hungry for work and really want to sort of, hit the ground running, and there's the group who have just got to, and I think so far we've got the balance right, where we've given them even this week we gave them a couple of days off before the Ipswich game, but then could do 2 or 3 solid days work. So it's always a little bit of particularly at the moment, a balancing act between the two. But I think even the players they'd much rather come to training and feel like they've had a good session, rather than sort of just not go through the motions, but go out there knowing that they're going to have to sort of hold things back because there's another game in a day's time.
And of the 3 lads who've got on this 7 to 10 day sort of schedule to return, individually, Van der Ven, Romero, Solanke, what are the chances of any of them being available for the European game?
The first European,
10 days away.
Yeah. The first European game, probably, I'd say outside chance for any 3 of them, but certainly they'll be back training fully by then. And then we've got Bournemouth on the weekend. I reckon much better odds for that. And definitely by the second European game, they should all be available to play. Dom's the only one where we just got to be careful, because he's ahead of schedule. So the reason I don't want to push that is because if we need to pull our reins in the back on him. But certainly with Romero and Van der Ven, that's the plan at this stage.
And is the international break part of your thinking there? Because if they're back and then they go away, then you sort of lose control of them.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, so we've got a little window now where hopefully we can get something into them, and we've still got, like I said, 2 European games. I think 3 league games between now and the international break. So I really want them up and running by then.
Tom.
And you can look at statistics in football in a lot of ways. Some are more meaningful than others. Your goal difference this season is the same as City's. You actually scored 1 more goal. How much should we read into this, and how much, I guess, is it tormenting you looking at that?
Yeah.
It's pretty bizarre.
It is, yeah. I've had it once before. Yokohama, I think my first year. I think we finished, 13th, 14th, or maybe even lower, and we were the second highest goal scorers in the league. And on the one hand, it gives you encouragement, because you're going, okay, there is something there. But the other bit is, the frustrating bit, because you think, we're probably, maybe 6-7 points off being in a really decent position, and you kind of kick yourself when you're thinking of some of the games we've dropped. And I think that's where the anomaly lies. I think the underlying statistics show that we should be higher up, but we're not, and that's the reality of it. And I think it's because, like I said, we've in some games we've just shot ourselves in the foot in terms of moments where we've let games get away from us. And again, balanced against the fact that obviously the extreme situation we're in terms of the injuries. But I always see those things as more encouraging than not, I think, because, when you're going through a tough spot and you're not in the place you want to be, you're looking for signs, and is there anything there that shows that we're on the right track? And I think I've always felt goal difference is a good indicator. Goal scored, I think, is a good indicator. Usually the teams that score most amount of goals are usually in a decent position on the ladder, because it's the hardest thing to do. So, the underlying stuff is there, but I think it's been masked by the fact that, like I said, we're probably 2 or 3 games away from being where we should be. And when I think about some of the games we've dropped, that's a little bit self-inflicted.
but centre forward is a key position. You mentioned about Haaland being still the world's best. Liam done that last week as a real handful. Matisse Tell's only just got here, so not judging him already.
Please don't judge him, mate. Please.
Not on his goal.
Please. Yeah.
Physically playing centre forward with his hold-up play.
Yeah.
When you look at obviously a Haaland, a Dominic Solanke, they're very sort of powerful and obviously very used to the Premier League. Do you see that as something that I know he can play in different positions across the three, but do you see it as something that is just part of the adaptation, or does he need to beef up a bit?
No, I don't think he's going to be that kind of striker, I think, but that doesn't mean he can't be a really good central striker. There are different types, you know, and look, I just think with Matty and, you know, again, I'm not on social media, but I can just imagine the comments about him, but you know, he's 19 years old. He hadn't played a lot. We've thrown him in and kept him in there because I want to build up his fitness. But if anyone was expecting him as a 19-year-old to come in and, you know, take the Premier League by storm, you know, by scoring multiple goals, it's not realistic. It just can't happen. So what we're trying to do is, you know, work with him. Like I said, he needs, as much as anything else, to get his physical fitness up because he hasn't played a lot of football. But at 19, I see really outstanding attributes in him that I think he could be a really good number 9. He can play wide as well. You're right, but he's not going. You know, he's not going to be a, you know, like a Dom or you know, a Delap. He's a different type. But you know, looking at him at training, his movements are becoming a little bit more fluent. He's getting used to sort of the way we play. He's getting used to the, you know, the level of competition. But what I do love about him is he's a hard worker. Like, you watch him in games, he's closing the people down, and he's doing the things that we need him to do at the moment to help us. He may not be getting the goals and, you know, the accolades, but he's certainly contributing to kind of, you know, the way we want to play, and that's the most important thing. But you know, he's got so much growth in him, and I'm sure you'll see that.
Tom.
Sonny looks like he's been more patch his best last couple of games. He's 33 this summer. How long do you think he can go on for?
Well, no idea, but you know, I think again, Sonny's benefited from the fact that, you know, he's been able to have a break between games, you know, and we saw that on the weekend. You know, being able to recover from one game to another and having a full week to get his energy levels back. It was outstanding, particularly in the first half, and he was great in the game before. So, you know, I mean, I think, you know, you never want to sort of try and predict with players like Sonny how long it'll go for, because, you know, they keep those kind of players, I think, always defy whatever odds there are, because they're the way they conduct themselves, the way they look after themselves, the levels. You know, still, even this year, is, you know, a difficult year as it has been for us, I think his numbers still stack up. You know, you weigh him up against any winger in the league, he's still going to be top 5. He's probably been top 5 in the 9-10 years he's been. Not many would rank with Sonny in terms of output on a consistent basis from his position. Maybe top 10% of players in the Premier League in his position. So they're the facts, and he's continuing to do that. So if he's continuing to do that, then, you know, there's nothing to say that he should slow down.
Talk about De Bruyne maybe being sort of finished at City. You know, how do you think we sort of write these players in their 30s and off a little bit too soon?
Oh, look, it depends. But I do think that those kind of things are kind of, you know, you should sort of judge on an individual basis. There's a reason these players are elite and have maintained their levels for such a long time. The end comes for everyone, we know that. You know, every player at some point needs to. I've always found with the best ones, yeah, they dictate it themselves. They know themselves when the time's right.
In what way would they sort of stop enjoying themselves?
No, they understand themselves what they can and can't do anymore, and they never invariably, you know, make decisions that, you know, get the most out of their career.
How do you find that balance? Because Pep's talked a little bit about sort of restarting City again. It's similar here, I guess, maybe you're almost a bit further ahead in terms of the youngsters. And how do you keep that balance of experience, but also
yeah, that's always the challenge, and sometimes it's harder, you know, when a team is successful. that's why it's extraordinary what City have done, what Pep's done, that he's maintained those levels for so long. Because when you are successful, there isn't that real need or urgency to change anything, even if you feel like you need to, or if you look at players and go, maybe it's time for a change. But for players playing well and you're winning things, then it's very hard to change. Whereas when things kind of almost bottom out, you go, well, we have to change. There's no other, there's no other alternative here. We have to change. We have to change the group. We have to change the players. We have to change a number of things. So it's a challenge, either way.
I'll let me finish with you, please.
In terms of Son, like we hear a lot about players who are getting, when they get older, they change their position, their roles change. Do you see elements of his game that suggest that in 3-4 seasons' time he could perform a different role to what he has?
No, not really, because I think the attributes he has, I guess the thing that people always look at kind of is when he's playing his position is speed, and kind of, players who have speed as kind of their main attribute, that goes and they kind of drift into other areas. I don't think that's Sonny's kind of main attribute. I think his ability to beat players in tight areas even without speed is elite. His finishing, I think, is elite. When you're talking again, you're talking about a winger who's scored so many goals. It's a hard position to score goals regularly from. So I don't think that's that's going to ever deteriorate to a situation where he's playing at centre half. No, I think he'll always be an attacking player, and I think he'll always, I think out wide is obviously. I mean, we've played him down the middle, but that's needs based, and he's always done a great job for us. But I think out wide is where he's more comfortable. But that can change where he plays in a team where he can drift more. With us it's a bit more fixed. But if at the age of 40 he wants to keep playing and he's in another club or he's here and they change the way he plays as a wide player, that can happen. But I still think he's always going to be a wide player.
He's already up to his highest assists level.
Most overrated statistic, except for Sonny. Sonny's are all good. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.